Well, I think on Sunday night you were asked at Arsenal whether that was a turning point. And I think you sort of said it was certainly a step in the right direction. I guess it feels that way, doesn't it?
Well, I've been mentioning lately, actually, for a number of games, and certainly last probably 5 or 6, that I think we were beginning to get back to what we can be about. Still some more to go, I think, but that coincides with the injury list getting lighter and numbers coming back. And then the performance levels, I think, have increased. I think we're finding a better balance to our performances, and both ends of the pitch, and equally with the balance of the team, with players getting fit. I know I say it doesn't guarantee anything, doesn't guarantee results. What it does, it enhances your chances of getting results. And that's all of that put into a decent performance, I felt, down at Arsenal, which is still a tough place. Despite the noise, despite the ups and downs, it's still a tough place to go down at Arsenal.
And just on those injuries, you've got 4 kind of key players out. How are they looking in terms of, well, not this game primarily, but I guess over Christmas and a busy period of 5 games before January the 2nd?
Well, Corky continued his recovery yesterday, which is good. So he got a bounce game for about 45 minutes. In fact, it was 45 minutes. Dale Stephens got about 70 minutes. Bardo played really just to top up because he'd been out a number of weeks, missed quite a bit of football. So them 3. Johan didn't play. Johan was still trying to get him back to when he can just play, when he's free to just run normally, compete normally, still been just below his maximum. So we're still being a bit careful with him. But, there's another 4 players, and even with the squad looking stronger, there's still 4 very good players. So we've still got them to come back into the thinking. The players that have just got through injuries are getting that real match fitness. Ben Mee, of course, been delivering very good performances, and Robbie Brady's settling in again and finding his feet a little bit. So, still that true kind of fitness level for them players. Matt Loughton, of course, missed, the early part and then coming back into full fitness. So, I think these are important factors. And like I say, it's not about, the Premier League's hard to guarantee results, but it just gives you a much better chance of getting results when everyone's fit and well.
And I guess in Robbie's case, it's just nice that he's putting back-to-back games together and kind of showing no problems, bearing that in mind.
Yeah, and he looks like he's playing freely again, and I think that's been tough on him. He's had a real tough run of injuries. A bit like Johan, actually, the 2 of them between them had them sort of awkward injuries. It started with a bad one, to be fair to Robin. He's done great to get over that one. But, really since then, it's been niggly injuries and ups and downs of kind of that consistent run of games. So we're hoping that he can keep performing and get that run.
And 4 clean sheets out of the last 5. And Nick Pope, his consistency is very high. But is he getting better as a goalkeeper? It certainly seemed on Sunday he seemed to be.
Well, I think maturation in goalkeepers, centre-halves as well. I've always said it. I think it's a slightly... it's not that it's slower. I just think the more depth you can get to your knowledge of the game and how it operates, I think is very important for them too. All positions, of course, but especially them too, in my opinion. So I think that does enhance your overall game. And I think Pope is getting more and more experienced in what he can do, what he delivers. His understanding, his start positions are continually getting better. More aggressive with his start positions, and a lot of good things he's delivering. And the obvious, stopping the ball going in the net, which is the obvious one. He's made some very big saves and very important saves over the last few weeks, and that's an important factor in any team. As much as we talk about scoring goals, I think you've got to have someone who can stop it going in the net, and he's got an able team in front of him. But when required lately, particularly, he's made some really big saves and really important saves.
In terms of the game ahead, is it an easier place to go than perhaps it would be of another season? I don't mean going to Villa Park, but is the mentality different going to some of these kind of bigger stadiums, bigger grounds when they're empty?
Well, I think we've all been debating the trying to define the undefinable, because humans respond to different circumstances. Some teams might be looking at it, we could do with fans in, some not. Some players thrive without fans in because of the sort of softening of the immediate demand and pressures that come from having fans in. Some players thrive off that. So I think we're still all trying to make sense of that. I don't think there's any guarantees, like I say, but I think we're focused on our form, if you like. We're focused on delivering the last 9 games of last season coming out of lockdown, did very well. A few challenges this season, but returning to some kind of form, good little run of results for us as well. And as you said, clean sheets, which is always favourable.
Could I just ask you about whether you had any memories or recollections of Gerard Houllier? I don't know whether your paths crossed too many times.
No, I mean, funnily enough, a memory for me, a more personal memory, I was down at the Nordorf Robbins dinner and he was there, and the next day I was just having breakfast, and I didn't really know him, but he come over as managers do, especially of his experience and the way that he'd had a career. And he just said a funny thing to me. He said, "Are you getting a break?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "No, not for you, to get the players so that they get a break from you." And I said, "Oh, okay, I never thought of it that way." So he was right. Sometimes you've got to realise that the players hear a lot from you, and sometimes it's stepping away. And I love them golden nuggets from the experienced managers. I've spoken about it many times. It's a shame now that some of these incredible managers that are in the Premier League currently or in the past, we don't always get their moments after a game or before. I had a lovely moment with Ancelotti the other day before the Everton game. It's just 2 minutes, but it means a lot when you're a manager, I think. And I try and if and when someone wants to speak to me, I always try and share things with them because I think it's an important factor. So that little golden nugget, just that alone gave me food for thought. And I went away and told the staff, said, "Am I getting away from everyone enough? Am I leaving everyone to their own devices, getting my voice out the way?" So little golden nuggets like that I think are important, but definitely a massive figure in the game, particularly at Liverpool, and one of the ones who came out of them different backgrounds in management. A teacher who became a top-class manager. I mean, different journeys. Jose Mourinho's another one, and these sort of ilk of managers, and he was one of the early ones of them.
And I know that you've spoken about concussion subs in the past. It looks though some headway, excuse the phrase, is going to be made this week in terms of kind of giving that the green light. I guess that's welcome, isn't it?
The concussion, sorry, did you say? I missed that bit.
Yeah, it looks though the Premier League are going to vote for a concussion sub from the new year.
Yeah, the only thing that I mentioned when we were asked about this a couple of weeks ago is just the speed of diagnosis. I think that's going to be important because there's a lot of noise at the moment. Don't get me wrong, health first, of course, and we know that, but there's a lot of talk over certainly the last year or so with VAR and how long it's taken and all that. So I think if they can find the medical teams and the doctors, which I'm sure they will do, find a thorough but quick way of deciding, then I think that helps the game enormously. But health first, of course.
And just a final point from me, with so much kind of takeover talk going on, I know you've said that it's something to be sorted out elsewhere, but do you need to know where you stand for January sooner rather than later?
Well, whether I do or don't, I often don't. So that's not new news. I don't work with budgets here, so I've never had a budget. So therefore, you don't really know where you stand until the moment of truth when you just try and sign a player. So that's not new to me. Regarding takeovers, I hear the noise like you. I haven't had any dialogue with the chairman at all, or the board for that matter, to give me any direction on that. I just keep working hard with the team and keep trying to get results and keep trying to be getting the successes that we work for.
Cheers, Sean. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Hi, Sean. Just going back to the noise surrounding Arsenal, do you think the quality of your performance on the day and the significance of the result was perhaps lost, as it was ever thus?
I'm not too worried about that. We know what we're doing here. We know how hard we work and what we try and achieve. The outside sources of the media, they cover what they think is appropriate. I've never really been bothered about that, whether it's me, my staff, the team, individuals. It's never something that I've overthought, and I certainly don't now. The main thing for us was to give a performance that we could win, and we did, and we got a nice win. So that's the clarity of thought, and that's already parked for us. We've got Villa coming round, so that'll be parked, and we move forward today.
Talking of Villa, one of the surprises of the season for you?
Well, I don't think necessarily a surprise. I think after lockdown, they changed the style slightly and brought a more defensive sort of shape to their side, or slightly. That's a positive, by the way, in case you're wondering. The way they'd sort of not been quite as open and found a tighter way of playing. We know they've got good players and they've still got some flair players who can open up the game. They've invested vast amounts of money in the last couple of seasons. That doesn't guarantee anything, but you suggest that gives you a better chance to operate. So I wouldn't say a surprise. I think they're a decent outfit and good manager and team there and coaching staff. So, they've got the right setup. So I wouldn't say a surprise. I would say it's a challenge, early season to get off like they did and to win the games. A bit more up and down recently, the last sort of 5 or so games, but generally having a good season so far.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Damien, for the brevity. Appreciate it. Thank you. Janine,
Thank you.
Morning, Janine.
Morning, you okay? Just talking about Villa, what sort of threats do they pose?
Well, the players in the attacking sense, a number of different ways of operating, often with the kind of floating wide players and the centre forward, whoever that may be. But Ollie Watkins has certainly been one they've brought in for a lot of money and done well, I think. A player we've looked at, but the numbers keep rising and rising and rising, and Villa have got them numbers. But I think they're it's not just about their attacking prowess. I think they've found a format that suits them better. That balance that we all look for in management, which is attack one end and defend the other. So I think they've just found a way of working that is so far suiting them this season. Our job, obviously, is to find a way that stops them from operating as clearly as they want. Find a way of making the game as much as we can about us and as comfortable for them as possible, so that we can then go and take on the game to win.
What would back-to-back wins do for confidence in the team?
I don't think we ever lacked confidence. I think it just enhances confidence when you're winning games. I think 2 wins, 2 draws and a loss in the last 5 is a fair reflection on an improvement in the way that we've been performing generally. And, of course, the players getting back to full fitness. No easy task in the Premier League. It certainly wasn't a comfortable game down at Arsenal. They're still a very good side. Even with 10 men, they've still got players who can offer an attacking force. So no game's easy, but I think we're finding our own form a little bit, and we know that we can compete across the Premier League because we've shown that over many seasons now. So we know we can compete. We've got to turn up and deliver, and I think recently we have been doing that. So this is just another chance for us to go and turn up, deliver a performance that we can get something from the game with.
Do you feel like you really are rediscovering that better form at the moment after the recent run of results?
Well, the signs are obvious. I mean, look, me and my team, my staff, that is, we have to look beyond the results sometimes and see, only my assistant has a good phrase, there has to be a future in your performances. And sometimes a result can get away from you, but the performance is right and proper and correct as how you see it and what you want the team to perform. I think over the last 5, other than a blip against Man City, I always say they did hurts on the day, as they do many teams. We've shown that form is not only improved, but it is bringing actual results. And of course, we're never naive enough to know that performances have to bring results at some point. Good or bad, you have to find a way to win. I mean, that's never far away from my thinking. Winning is the key. But I think it's nice if the performances are earning them points. And I think that's a better way of looking out for the future.
And you touched on it a bit, just clean sheets. How important are they for the team, and how much pride does the whole team take in them when you get one?
Well, they've been a big part of our successes down the years here, and in varying formats, whether it was the Championship getting promoted and winning the league there, or whether it's in the Premier League and last year 10th, a couple of seasons before 7th. There's been a big part of it, and it is for most sides, by the way. You quickly forget even the teams with the attacking prowess, they're often very good defensively as well. So I think finding the balance is the key. I still think we've created a better quality of chance. I still think we'll take more chances over the season's work. I think our forwards are very close to finding them breakthroughs, and when they do, I think they'll start scoring again like they have done over the seasons here. And we're defending with an edge, and I think that's important. And that's a collective. I think our strikers are working really hard as well to defend from the front. When we continue to find the balance, which is to attack and create better quality chances, and I'm sure these players will start putting them chances in, as long as we keep the back door shut as well and find that nice balance.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Jim.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
So a quick question, Alex Howell, first BBC.
Hi, Sean. You said there that you're coming into decent form. Is this when the Christmas period and the fixtures coming quickly works in your favour?
Not necessarily. I think the decent form I've been mentioning for weeks now, and like I say, it's looking beyond results. I don't think we were far away the couple of games before we had these decent results. I think it's helpful, of course. The thing for me is when the fixtures start getting a little bit closer together is the fitness of the side, and I think that's looking really, really good. Very high output the other day down at Arsenal, physical output that is, and everyone knows how fit our players are. I know statistically how strong we are in second half of the seasons, whether that's by results or by physicality. We've often been very strong physically for sure in the second half of the season and around the Christmas period. That is helpful if we've got players fit, quite obviously. We're beginning to get back to that fitness. So, we want to go into the Christmas period in good form. We're showing that. another big game at Villa, and we'll see where that takes us.
I was in Dean Smith's press conference earlier, and he singled out Dwight McNeil as a player to watch. How do you think he's done recently?
Yeah, he's been steady. I still think there's more to come from him. We put a demand on him because even at a young age, he's showing, well, he's proven his worth with the amount of games he plays, the game time that he does on the pitch for us. I think he's maturing all the time, and he's got a lot to offer. I mean, I think defensively, he was excellent the other day, and I think the modern players sometimes, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, they're sometimes good at one skill set, and that often gets a lot of accolades. I think Dwight's he's becoming a good all-rounder. He can play, we know that. He can assist, he can score a goal, but he can equally defend and work for the team. And I think that's a big part of a young player, having that balance to their performances.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Next night,
Thanks.
James, thank you.
Morning, Sean.
Morning.
You mentioned Ollie Watkins though in one of your answers about Aston Villa. Is he and perhaps Villa another example of that championship sort of spending gap that has opened up now, in the sense that he cost maybe, I think, somewhere near twice as much as Aston Villa? And you mentioned it as Chris Wood, and you've mentioned in the past that you can't sort of dip into that market maybe as freely as you did 2 or 3 years ago.
No, I think what it's a sign of is that whether you think the market is worth it or not is irrelevant. It's just whether you want to pay it. So I think it's a clearer sign of that. For a player who has done very, very well outside of the Premier League, to move for that amount of money is a big fee. Villa obviously decided they're going to pay it. So it's simple. It's not actually rocket science. It's just that you need a chairman and a board who will spend that money. If you haven't got that, then it doesn't get spent. So it's simple. It's most clubs, most clubs know the runners and riders, Most clubs are out there, know who the players are, the ones that are going well, the ones that have done consistently well over time, the ones that are possibles. It's putting the money up to get them players. And that's something where I've mentioned many, many times about this club beginning to stretch itself and learn that the market doesn't care whether we want to spend or not. It's just saying, well, you've got to. So it's a simple equation.
These sort of last 4 of the last 5 games where you picked up 8 points have shown that you've got that 11, 18 when everybody's fitting well to compete with most clubs in the Premier League. Is that sort of sustainable over a season without a couple of extra bodies in January? I know you perhaps mentioned you were 2, possibly 3 short when the summer window closed.
Well, we can only hope that it's improbable that the injuries carry on. That would be a good start. I've always said that when everyone's fit here, regardless of not signing, loads of players, I've always said when everyone's fit, we still believe in the squad and how it can compete. I think the reality of a season's work, you've got to remember we got promoted the first season I was here, or the first full season I was here, and I think we had 17 recognised first-team players, and then only 2 centre forwards until we got to January when we got Barnes in. So it can be done. Is it helpful to have a deeper squad? Yes, it is, quite obviously. The demands are higher than sort of 6 or 7 years ago. The physical demands are higher. We have been unfortunate with the amount of injuries. I hope, and I would suggest that statistically that's unlikely to continue all season, but you never know. We've got to be ready for that if it does. So is it helpful if we can get some players in? Yes. Is it vital? Not always. I believe in these players. I certainly believe in them individually and collectively. So I think that's a powerful thing going into the second half of the season, regardless of whether we can get players in or not.
And just lastly from me, we're at Lancs Live sort of asking fans to have their say on who's impressed them for Burnley in the calendar year of 2020. Sort of Nick Pope, Ben Mee, James Tarkowski, Dwight McNeil, perhaps the names that spring to mind. How pleased have you been with that quartet's levels of consistency across a calendar year? Because it's no easy task in the Premier League.
I'm pleased with a number of players here. It's not just the ones the fans think. We've got players who I look at slightly differently. The emergence of Josh Benson, for example. I think he's doing very well. Whether he's there as a regular in the Premier League or not, he's doing very well. Mace behind him, Gleno behind him. These young players who earn their spurs. And I think that's as an important factor as a club. When you come down to actually getting results, of course, then there's a number of players who are doing well. No surprise them names come up because they've been very, very consistent for us over a longer period of time. And they've proved their worth. They've proved to be very important players. But every player over a season in my history have played their part somewhere or another, whether it's a big part or a smaller part. Every moment counts. Everything counts that we give to a game. We have to earn the right in everything we do, and we'll continue to do that, regardless who's playing well or not. It's everyone all knows he's pointing in the right direction to get every inch of every game right so we can get enough points on the board to carry on.
Lovely. Thanks, Sean. All the best for Thursday.
Hello, Clarets fans. Phil Bird here. Make sure you subscribe to Burnley's official YouTube channel and turn on notifications. Otherwise, you might miss moments like this. Oh, what a goal! And Wood was there to finish it.
Just spitting Glenn Little, look at us.
We hope you enjoyed the video and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Up the Clarets.